Hi guys, Toga here with a new video, and this video will be about Shadow Priest and more precisely about a pre-bis and a bis list for PvP. So with that in mind, I'm gonna give you a few of my ideas and how I see gearing in PvP for Shadow Priest. I think a lot of the things can be discussed and can be seen as maybe suboptimal or not as optimal as possible. But I try to give a list that you could farm by yourself or get it pretty reliably if you're doing like just a normal raid with your Shadow Priest, or if you are doing an SR run for Onyxia. All those things can be um, looted reliably. Now, of course, you could always get better pieces. You could always have um, obviously more spell power, but in my opinion, I do go about stamina most of the time. I think stamina is such a great stat. I also have it, for example, my custom PvP EP. So it's something you can do it for yourself as well. You could also have the preset, but I thought the preset for me is more about raiding and not really about PvP. This is for PvP, and for me, my equivalency points are that stamina has 2, intellect has 1, shadow damage and spell damage has 1 each other. I could also add crit, but once I have added crit into the equation, it may give me more items that are more crit heavy and less about the stats I really want for this bis list. So for the pre-bis, obviously I've changed a lot of things that they because if you're doing autofill, that's cool, but they're going to give you like a lot of items that are unavailable or too much gold or requires a lot of like MCs or Onyxias that are very lucky. So for example, I'm just going to give you an example. The obvious choice that you should go for is Sugar of the Fire Lord. The issue is if you're doing a loot console and you're playing Shadow Priest like me in your guild, most likely the Shoker will not go for you. It's going to go for the Page or for the Warlock. So I go with the second choice, which is a bit more. It's more of a healer neck because it has spirit a bit. But I do love the fact that it has good stamina, good intellect, a bit of spirit. Why not? And then you have your 18 more damage, which is always going to be nice in PvP. And then you have obviously the fact that it is way easier to acquire, and most likely they are going to loot consider to you. You could also have a SR run, and even then, most likely most people are going to SR Shoker of the Fire Lord, and you could have an easy SR on Shoker of the Enlightenment. Or you try to battle it out with other mages and warlocks for the best possible neck. But the problem is you have more choices or more opportunities to lose on that neck. This is like really a pre-bis. That's something you can really acquire by yourself reliably by farming dungeons, farming raids, farming whatever is at your disposal, even crafting, and it requires not too much money. For example, Underworld Band, it is around 30 to 40 gold, something like that, 45 gold. This is like not really true. It's not 114. I've bought mine for 45, so it's even more than what the market cap should be. I think it's around 35, 40. But in general, this is a good item because it has stamina. If you go point by point, I also try to mix the gear that I have. Ideally, you would not go for Magister's Crown. I have it. You could go for the Devout Crown. That's not a problem. Or you could also go for maybe the T1 headpiece. But it gives you a bit of magical spells, which is quite nice. So this is like ideally the one that you want to go for. But since you're a Shadow Priest, if you're raiding as a Shadow Priest, you will not get it. But if you're raiding as a healer, you might get it pretty reliably though. So that's an option. This is too hard to get in my opinion. Like it's really a low drop rate, so I don't even count into that. This is like too expensive, so I just disregarded directly. It is quite good though, like 2% crit is always going to be nice. And then you have also Dragon Scale Skull, which is nice, but it never seems to drop for me. So the best possible thing you can take is something with a lot of stamina or a lot of intellect. You could obviously go for Crimson Felt Hat, but it again doesn't drop for me, and it has low stamina. So you could basically go for Devour Crown. That's the one you want to go for. I try to do my pre-bis with also my items in mind. I have currently the Magus Crown. I could try to get the Devour Crown, but you have to be lucky again. It has a drop rate, but it has like a very bad one. You could also go for the Engineering Helm. You have multiple choices, to be fair, pre-bis wise. But if I have something that I want to go for, it would be Devour Crown into maybe a Circles of Prophecy as a very big bis for phase 1. But this is really for phase 1, right? So this is for phase 1. And then obviously I would SR the Cloak from Onyxia. There's not a lot of stuff that you really want on Onyxia, so that's fine. I have Devour Bracers. That's something that you can discuss and you can say, it's not that good. But obviously there are two choices. Either you go for the 4 set devout set, so you get 23 at least, but then you have a lot of stamina, which is always going to be quite nice. Or you go for Necropile Cuffs, which obviously if you don't have 5 sets you will not get like benefits from the spell power, but it has a bit more stamina. So there is like an option for that. So for example, Necropiles sets, I have it for my legs, I have it for my boots. So it's not something I'm not running, but I'm running with Devout Braces right now even, because it has stamina, intellect, spirit. It's easy to acquire. There are not really a lot of bracers. You could maybe go for T1 bracers, but then again, it's healing done, and it's not that much stamina. But that's an option. Iron Reef bracers is quite hard to get because I'm not going to do LBRS for Halicon. That's not going to happen. So personally, I go for Devour Bracers. You could go for Necropile's Cuffs, but I do like the 4 sets, so that's why I take it pretty much. I also have it right now. Like I have the 4 set as well, so I do enjoy it. I have Sorceress. I didn't talk about the chest. Obviously, if you can have Flare Core or Alanas, why not? The issue is Flare Core. I don't see it on the auction house, and I reckon it's going to be very expensive. This does not drop. For now, I haven't seen it drop. I also haven't seen anyone get it, so it's a mystery for me. A full BRD run can be possible to get Robes of the Royal Crown. It is 18 spell power, which is very, very cool, but you do lose the 4 set for a Devout Robe, which is not bad. And it has good stamina and intellect, while this has more stamina but a bit less intellect, so it really depends on what you want to go for. You could also go for the T1 Robes of Prophecy, but it will only get like very good for you for stamina wise, but you're not going to have the spell power portion. So again, it's with in mind, it's a pre-bis. It's in mind also with the fact that most likely you're not going to get it. There is also an option to go for Necropile's Robe, and this is not bad. If you can get it, this is really a good choice. 22 stamina, it's respectable. You will get a lot of HP. I do believe like HP is really king, especially as a Shadow Priest, where if you have a rogue on you, you want to survive, and that is only through armor and HP. Especially if it's an under rogue and you are a dwarf, it's not really the best matchup. This can help you. You could also say, look, Robo for Volatile Power, if I can get it in raids, why not? It does really well. It's 2% crit, so if you're critting your Mind Blast, it does hurt a lot. But it's just not really reliable. It's most likely going to go for Frost Mages or Warlocks at that point. Even then, I think it depends if they really want the crit or not, because there are other pieces that are quite good. For example, Robe of Winter Knight, but this is like more of a PvE thing. It also costs a lot. And why am I running with Devout Robe is because of the 4 set, 2 set with armor, and obviously it has good stats. So I run with that for now. Sorcerer's Dagger, why do I take it instead of Arrow Stone? And why not Anathema Staff of Dominance? I'm trying to get a realistic list, and this is really realistic. You're going to most likely see Sorcerer's Dagger drop. It has 4 bosses, so it's quite good as well. But the thing is, you can then combine with an offhand, which I have it in mind for my bis list, which I'm going to show you afterwards. While Aura Stone Hammer is not bad, but the reality is you're going to fight with paladins if you're alliance. They're most likely going to get it, and if you're a shaman, they also are going to try to get it. So for me, Sorcerer's Dagger is the way to go. You have a bit less stamina, but a lot more intellect, and a bit less spell power, but it's not that important, especially like as a Shadow Priest, in my opinion. And in PvP in general, you want to survive instead of like dealing like utmost damage, because again, you don't want to get destroyed by a rogue. You could also say, look, I'm gonna get lucky on Anathema. Why not? If you can do the quest, if you can have an Eye of Shadows, which is expensive, those are all stuff that you can do and you can acquire. And this like is kind of bis, especially in phase 1. But the reality is, if I have to do a CR, a SR, excuse me, like a soft res, and I already have the stuff that I want in raids, I would go for Sorcerer Dagger so I could have like an offhand. And currently in phase 1, you don't have a lot of great offhands. You could have Fire Ruined Grimoire, which is very good, which I don't have right now. So what I have right now is Penelope's Rose, which is very quick to acquire. Everyone wants to do that quest because it's also for Mira Song. It's really, really good because it has good stats. It really lacks on the spell power thing. So if you can get a Fire Ruined Grimoire, take that. If you can have maybe the Tome of the Lost, which is a bit less stamina and intellect, but you do get a lot of spell power, you can also get that. I also assume that Onyxia, if you can get Ancient Cornerstone Grimoire, which is very, very good in PvP, that is also an option. Book of the Dead, why not? It's kind of the same, really, but the stats are better on Onyxia, in my opinion. That's it. You could also say, look, I don't care about stamina and intellect. You could also get the Umbral Crystal, which is only 3 gold on my server right now. But ideally, you go for Fire Ruined Grimoire or Tome of the Lost. This, I haven't seen it drop yet, and I'm kind of tired of a UBRS right now. So if you can have Fire Ruined Grimoire, why not? That's actually a good option, to be fair. Like stamina and intellect wise, this could be seen as a good bis for like it's not really a pre-bis at this point. Like this is really a bis. Like together is like 31 spell power, and you have 20 stamina, and you have above you have 38 intellect, which is pretty big. You will have a good mana pool, a good health pool, and also good damage. But this is again quite hard to acquire. You can try, but again, you will probably have to soft res it if you're running soft res raids. And then Deval gloves, interesting. Again, like hit is not an issue because you have your talents for it. So you're not really aiming for hit. Devour Gloves, why do I take it? It has stamina, intellect, a bit too much spirit, unfortunately. But it increases damage healing done by 23, which is really, really good. I think there is a world where if you can have every single piece, again, this is a world where you can pick and choose whatever you want. If you have a world where you get the Dread Mists, which is actually better because you have less spirit, that's also okay. Now the issue is that if you're running with a warlock, they're going to be mad if you are getting like Dread Mist robes, for example, or crown. They're not going to accept that, which is logical because again, if you're doing the 0.5 quest line in phase 6, I think, or phase 5, it kind of sucks because again, you want to have it. As a priest, maybe not, but again, I'm gonna collect anyways because then I have it in my bank. You could also go for the Magis's gloves, but you don't have that much stamina. I think the one that you should go for is the Devout one, but if you can, why not? You can also go for Dread Mist. And again, the EP PvP kind of shows, right? It has more than Devout gloves because they have more stamina. You could also go for the Gloves of Prophecy, but it's not going to give you any spell power. This one kind of sucks because like it's a good item for Fire Mage. You don't really have Fire Mages these days. It has Stamina Intellect, which is pretty big, but only 9 spell power. So if you get it, it's kind of troll because again, fire damage, you're not dealing any fire damage. So realistically, I do prefer Devout right now because I have then the 4 set. So I have it also already. It does also cost nothing on the auction house, so it's very easy to acquire. This is like really a pre-bis for PvP. You can have this whole set literally today, tomorrow, any day, and that will be not a problem, right? Then you have Sash of Whispered Secrets. If you can soft res it, that's the best item you can go for PvP because it has 20 stamina, literally 200 hit points, which is again massive if you want to survive. You could also go for Mana Igniting Cord, which is 1% crit. That's kind of valuable depending on if you're critting your Mind Blasts. This is a good one if you can buy it or get it. It's a good pre-bis. I do really prefer Sash of Whispered Secrets because it has 33 shadow spell power, but also stamina, which is always going to be very valuable. But at the end, if you're not doing any kind of raiding, for example, you could go for Devout Belt. That's also a possibility. It has a lot of intellect, but no stamina. Or you could also say, like, look, I want to have more stamina. You could go for Bantok Sash maybe for 1% hit. Why not? Even though you don't really need it. This one is a good one as well. Stamina, intellect, and 11 spell power. But at the end, if you can have a Sash of Whispered Secrets, if you're doing any raids with like soft res, just soft res this. If you get it, that's perfect. If you don't, it's a bit less. This is also a good one, but it will be chased by Frost Mages and sometimes even Warlocks, although Warlocks, they can also go for Sash of Whispered Secrets, but sometimes they don't, because they see a crit and it's maybe better for them. But right now I do want this. So this is like really in my soft res, but I also have like, again, 2 other items that I would like to have. Which I'm going to cite afterwards. And the second part of the video will be about the Abyss, which is very quick. Necropile leggings, I have it. I really find it very fantastic to have literally a 21 stamina, 18 intellect legs. You don't really need the spell power on every single piece, right? I do believe this one is very good. In general, if you get enchanted like +8 stamina, that's really big. And then Necropile boots, we have it with a 15 stamina, 10 intellect, and then 11 spell power. You're going to say, but why am I taking this? Well, I prefer the stamina over the shadow spell power you could get with Maliki Foot Wraps. You could technically get this, and this is actually a very good item. You will lose stamina, but you will do significant more damage on your Shadow Word Pain and on your Mind Fillet and on your Mind Blast. And this is like, again, depending on how you see your encounters. Do you miss damage or do you miss survivability? I found that I usually just win by surviving, so I do prefer Necropile Boots already, and also already have, so it's very easy for me to get it and to like say that it's my biz. But obviously, if you get like the Maliki Foot Wraps and that's your drop, you don't need to search for other boots. This is like really good one, and it's only like a +3 on my EP list that I again made out of my head. It could be different depending on you, if you prefer more stamina early or if you prefer less stamina. So then again, like for example, this one, it's impossible to get. So like the first of all, like Postmaster Bon Malone, yeah, it's already very difficult. So I prefer not to fish that. So I'm very happy with this. Underworld Band, stamina, and 14 spell power damage on Shadow, so it's very good as well. Songstone of Ironforge, I have it already, so I put it on my pre-bis. Obviously, if you can get, again with my EP, it's a bit different because you have a lot of items with like pure stats. If you can get this, because I don't think a lot of people are going to soft res it, this is really really good. Like it has intellect, it has stamina and spirit, and sometimes like just doing more damage is cool, but this is like really just, don't forget mana is also HP. If you can always can do a flash heal on yourself, always be able to shield yourself, it can make you win games like 1v1s or even 1v2s. If you're able to just have that tad bit health or mana to be able to like drag out the match, like the fight, that's a very good one. If you can get the Onyxia head, this is also a very good one. It has 1% crit and also stamina intellect. Like I said, Underworld Band very good. Ring of Spell Power is also very good, but it has no stamina intellect. This is really a PvE item, and that is also a soft res of mine because again I want to perform in PvE as well. If you're doing like arena runs, most likely you're going to get Cyclopean Bad, which is not that bad. It has stamina, and stamina is king in PvP, so you could take it over the ring that I've cited, but this is really easy to get. Like just save the princess and that's it. This is 400 golds on the auction house at the moment on my server, so I just do not touch it with a long 6 foot long pole pretty much. And the rest, like it depends on if you're looking about stamina or intellect or spell power, so you have choices to make. Trinkets, you don't have to choose a lot of trinkets. The truth is, if you're engineering, you are going to put NG trinkets. Most likely also just in general, if you have like a MC cap or whatever, just put it on, use it, and then change back whenever you can. But the trinkets should farm is Briarwood Reed, which I finally have it today, so I'm very happy about that. I'm very lucky as well. And because 20 runs without having seen a read, and the first one I see, I win the roll, although a very low roll, but I still win. Eye of the Beast, easy to acquire as well, 2% crit. It's viable if you it's viable and valuable if you're critting. If you're not critting, it is literally useless, and you could go for Burst of Knowledge. It really depends on how you see the game and perceive the game. If you want to crit more or if you want to do more like stable, consistent damage. Obviously, you could also have Barov Peasant Color, so I have it. Helps a ton versus classes. You could also have like engineering items, which can always help you and will always help you. You could also go for like healing trinkets, why not? But in general, that depends on you. And Storm Rager, which is a very very good item because it has great stamina on it. I have it already, and it has also intellect. You could also go for maybe a bit more of spell damage, spell power damage. So we have Skull, which I haven't seen one yet, so it is what it is. You could also go for maybe Bone Creeper Stylus, why not? It's kind of the same, although it has a very high competitivity on that item, because everyone wants that pretty much. This one, I haven't seen it yet either. This is a good one as well, but I haven't seen it. And this is like the, if I'm not mistaken, the quest that is not available right now, which is in Sunken Temple. So for now, not a option. So this is pretty much my pre-bis. Let's talk about really quickly my bis. Again, it is not really changing too much. I go for Shocker of Enlightenment, but truly, if you can, go for Shock of the Fire Lord. Why not? But again, I'm realistic. Like in loot console, most likely I'm not going to get it. I go for rank 10. Why do I not put rank 14? Well, it's phase 2. Most likely you're going to get it in phase 3 because it has like a duration. You cannot get phase 2 ranked like rank 14 at the first day of phase 2. That's not possible. Well, the rank 10 you can acquire it while it's phase 2, and most likely while it's going to be for phase 3, you're going to be able to get the best ranking gear. So right now I say the best one that you can get is the rank 10, and once you can get rank 13, excuse me, go for rank 13. So I go for the head. I go for the shoulders, chest, legs, hands, and boots. That's not a surprise. We still have saffron drape, and now you see why I take a one-hander, realistic one-hander. Again, if you can go for an anathema, just go for an anathema. I go for Sorcerer's Dagger, and then we have Tome of the Shadow Force, Tome of Shadow Force from AV, which is super easy to acquire, just requires you to spam AV. So if you're ranking up, you're going to get it. It gives you stamina, so in total you have 16 stamina. So you still have 17 intellect, which is not fantastic, but you get a whopping 54 increased spell power damage, which obviously only 34 of them is shadow spell damage, but gives you a bit of leeway to do more damage with Mind Blast. Obviously, like for Smite Priest, this is not going to be this list because you have Stash of Whispered Secrets as well. You don't want to have spell power for Shadow if you're doing Smite, obviously. So the base list is the same on the top heavy, I would say, but we change on the wrists. So since we don't go for Devout set, we don't need Devout anymore. We go for Stamina. So we just farm a bit of like PvP, and you get at rank 5 your braces, which is very easy to get. Then if you're doing again some Warsong Gulch, you're going to get Lord Keeper's Ring, which is not a bad ring. It has stamina, always valuable. 14 spell power damage, which is also valuable, and restore 4 mana per 5 seconds. You could again, if you are doing raids and you're lucky with your SRs or lucky with your loot console, you could get a few pieces that are going to help you with PvP. But this one is like just true PvP, has stamina, has 14 spell power, why not? And then you have Briarwood Reed, which is still bis. If you can get engineering items, obviously engineering items are going to be used and then re-equip your Reed. And then Toeb. So that's my soft res. I try to get it. This is too important. If you can get a Toeb, you're set for multiple phases. Like I would even say, I don't know if you'll replace it quickly, but I would say in PvP, you pop this and you get a PI from someone, for example, you're going to blast like directly. Your Mind Blast is going to go through the roof, especially if it crits. Of course, again, it's not likely you're going to get it in a loot console, but that's why if you're going for soft res MCs, for example, just soft res Toeb, and you're going to be good to go. So again, thank you for watching this video. Really appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Again, no rank 13. Rank 13 is phase 3. Realistically, if you're going to grind it, it's going to acquire at least 10 weeks. 10 weeks means that it's 2 months later, which means phase 3. So that's realistically how the timeline goes. So I will be making a business for phase 3 like once we are like at phase 2. Why not? But I think now it's more realistic to talk about phase 1, phase 2, because then phase 3 you have BWL, and then you can talk about rank 14. So let's see how it goes. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.